Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will be very brief. Um, a lot of information was given out already by our professional team, Dr. Wilkinson, Dr. Laws, and Superintendent Henry, and we had Abdias add in to the information flow. From all that I've seen and I've heard from my colleagues, we have one of the best public information and briefing program with respect to COVID-19 in the region. So I want to commend you. I want to commend you, Les Foy, for being a staple at these briefing and for adding value to this exercise in helping the country overcome a very serious global pandemic. I want to express thanks to all who are here and all who have been participating in the work of the task force, attempting to bring collaboration, cooperation, and unity of action as we fight this virus together. It was interesting that as the Father spoke and brought his prayer, he referenced two important passages, at least one from Philippians, and he, by analogy, said to us, we have to fight this pandemic as one country. We have to fight this pandemic together. And importantly was the other reference to the scripture which speaks about the self-interest. And importantly, in times of crisis, it is so easy to do the easier wrong than the harder right. Easier wrong against the harder right. The easier wrong to look about my interests. Easier wrong not to look at the interests of others. And that is why I would just want to reinforce what the Father said to us, inspired by God. We have to fight this pandemic as a country. And since the commencement of our efforts, we have been doing and encouraging that, and all of society approach. Chamber being a part, the church being a part, individual citizens and residents being a part, the public service being a part. And we will continue to do that and to welcome others to come constructively, help us to do what we must as a nation to defeat the COVID-19 pandemic. I can't add more substance than to that, because in this time of peril and danger, no nation has gone to war and won a war with division. No nation. So the message is both an important spiritual and scriptural point, as it is one of important substance and resonate well with us. Together we will fight this, and together we will defeat it. If we allow ourselves to go to the easier wrong of self-interestness, it is about me. It is about me who have been, or us who have been vaccinated, and we need a special place. In battle, in a war, it is about self-interested placement. That is not going to help us. What we need is all of us together. And some of us will get there before others. We all must get to that point where everyone comes forward to be vaccinated. And those of us who have gone before because we understood the danger, we must do all we can to encourage, to cajole, to entice, to insist that those who have not done so, that they will move forward. The events of the last couple of days, and indeed since, may have indicated that COVID-19 is not playing by any rules. COVID-19 is not going to respect you because you're a businessman, or you're a politician, or you're a preacher, or a police officer, or even a prisoner, or even a trial. All of us then have to band together to defeat it. And the sooner we come to that consciously and prudently, the better it is. For 2 weeks, we are asking the country to make a sacrifice. For 2 weeks. For 2 weeks only, we are saying to you, unless you have an essential job to do, and unless you are a provider of an essential service, stay at home to the extent possible. Those who are in the public service will be advised of their schedule in due course in terms of their work. Again, we went through that, as it were, last year. The cabinet secretary, working through the permanent secretaries, would help in advice who need to come, so that we can have continuity of government, because, of course, government is a critical service. In the end, it is a government who must use all the powers of his state, which no other entity has, to bring the stability and safety to the country. And so the services of government are critical, and we would want to have continuity, whether through the work-at-home rule or having a downsizing of the staff that is coming forward in critical areas to respond to the needs of our people. And we are asking for cooperation of all. So again, I want to say thanks to the over 20,000+ of our citizens who have come forward so far out of a target of 33, and we are at 65% and counting. I want to say thank you for doing the right thing. You didn't go to the easy route to say, well, it's me. It is my body. You took the harder right, recognizing it is not just about you. Because you see, when businesses have to close, it's about all of us. When one person in an entity get affected, and for reasons of public health, the whole entity has to be closed, you understand it's not just about you. You can't be selfish. You can't be too narrow. You can't be thinking just about you. What about your co-workers? Should they suffer from your failure? What about the businessman? Must his business collapse because you made an individual choice rather than looking at the broader interests of the nation and the broader interests of others, which the Father Reverend today spoke to us about? Let me end with a word of commendation to all who have taken on this fight like soldiers, real soldiers, marching to battle. And I count among the soldiers the 20+ thousands of our citizens and residents who have gone to be protected, and urge everyone else to join. And I see the senior officers like Dr. Laws, like Dr. Cameron, in this battle, leading in front, giving advice and giving of themselves in a way that should give us an example of what people must do, for they are sacrificing their time, their health even, their family lives, to ensure that our country, blessed country, can be on an even keel. I want to thank the Minister of Health, Mrs. Byron Nisbet, and to thank her for so readily coming into a difficult ministry with a global challenge and being able to help provide the necessary leadership and support for the functioning of that ministry, and very early to have been able to come up to speed with the critical elements of the ministry, particularly as they relate to the pandemic and the general health situation. Equally, I want to thank Senator Wendy Phipps, who have been part of this process for a prolonged period of time, since our last administration and continues to show keen interest in ensuring that we win this war. I want and I must thank the Attorney General, who perhaps more than any member of the Cabinet have been so much involved in all of this for the longest period as chair of the Mitigation Council, and has really done an excellent job. I want to be on him to thank the team of professional people in his office who at very short notice are called upon, given the vagaries of the pandemic, to produce the legal framework in which all of us could respond. And today, the Attorney General was on Radio ZIZ and TV and did a very good job in clarifying any misconceptions that persons would have had. He's again here with us this afternoon, giving yeoman service to his country, and we would want to record and to honor his contribution, selfless as he has been. Let me also thank Dr. Carty, who is here, for her work as a lead person of the Health Promotion Unit, and to say we appreciate your service as we do these services being rendered by all our medical doctors and nurses and their assistants. I came from the Tabernacle Health Center, I should more properly say, the Nurse Sylvia Garnett Primary Care Facility in Tabernacle. And there we had the Nurse Gabriel, her assistant, Miss Greed, and they really put their all in this, comforting, assuring, and helpful. Several persons have been bringing persons to these centers, and I want to thank them and consider that national service. I want to thank one officer, and Mr. Brandy might find some way of honoring him, Officer McGovern, who over the last couple of weeks has devoted his time to get persons to these centers, and to thank him and all others. Let me also commend Mr. Brandy, in whose hands and heads the difficult task of enforcement will begin. And we are saying, apply the law strictly. I might advise to Mr. Brandy, but it's his decision. Minimize exemptions to the rule. For 14 days, persons must comply. And we ran this drill before. Stay at home unless you have something urgent and necessary to do. Stay at home unless you're going to get yourself vaccinated or take somebody to be vaccinated. Stay at home unless you have to go to the supermarket to get something to buy to eat. And try avoid going to the supermarkets and even the village shops too often. Make it once, twice, not every day you go in. It is not necessary. And in these circumstances, you have to avoid movement outside. It is not a total lockdown. We never said that. We never said that. There's a period of lockdown. The curfew by nature is a lockdown, because during that time there should really be absolutely no movement unless Mr. Brandy authorizes it. In the period outside the curfew, there is to be limited movement for certain specific workers, call them essential workers. And in the context of our lived reality, we have broadened that list to include some persons who must be there providing the services. I said to our citizens and residents, I want you to think seriously what is at stake. This is not a time to talk about niceties and convenience. This is a time to hide yourself from the disease. This is what it is. A disease that has killed, and we have been fortunate up to this time. We don't know, because life and death not in our hands. But this time, up to this time, not to have recorded any deaths. We have been fortunate at this time to have one of the best vaccination rollout in the entire hemisphere. We have been fortunate at this time to have one of the best testing records. We have been fortunate at this time to have one of the best contact tracing systems anywhere in the region. All those systems have been tested, and they have shown that they are working and working well. So my commendation to all who have participated. And again, I want to thank the NEOC for its work and for these regular briefings, which are bringing factual information to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. So I encourage as many people to tune in, to be informed. And again, your greatest service to this country for this next 14 days will be that you get vaccinated if you have not yet done so. Or you encourage, and better yet, take a family member or friend to become vaccinated. We can defeat this virus. I am confident that we can. But we need, in the words of the pastor, to work together. We need to resist the temptation to talk about our interests, our particular place. We need an exemption for us because we have done this or we are particularly special. Not at this time. Not at this moment when we are in the pandemic. We could defer until the 14-day period, and then we begin to have conversations about the way ahead to the stronger and safer future and the new policies that would help propel us more quickly there. So I want to say thank you for the country. It has been an entirely supportive country when all is considered. When you have 65% of your population, adult population with you, that is significant. That is a significant achievement. And so my confidence is being buoyed and assured that by the strong support we have had and by the words and encouragement that we have had from our churches and other people. So again, let's do the right thing. Sometimes it's very hard, and that is why in the adaptation of a quote I spoke about, the easier wrong and the harder right. Those are things we are going to have to be able to deal with, doing the harder right. The decisions that we make as a cabinet are difficult decisions with complexities. Some of them we will not know until we see them in operation, but we will be agile enough to make the necessary changes. There is no template for COVID-19. No template at all. The world has never seen a pandemic like this one in the last 100 years. And so we are drawing on experiences of others near and far and attempting to find a space that represents us. And in all of our actions, be they locked down by one name or another, because this is a case where the rose called by another name is just as good. So whether you call it lockdown or partial lockdown or extended curfew, I am not getting no argument with nobody over those things. To me, those are immaterial for where we are at. What we have to understand are what are the content of the substance of the measures, how they will work, and that you cannot argue that they are intended to keep somebody safe. And we have already said from the beginning, ours is a life-first strategy. All we have done, stay at home, is intended to keep you safe. All we are doing, vaccinate, is to keep you safe in keeping with that strategy. So again, thanks again for giving me some time to say a few words or too many words. I want to thank you and to thank the country for their love and their support at this critical time.